Can you explain copyright to me? Can I quote the lyrics from a Taylor Swift song in my novel? This is a question that a viewer sent me. So let's talk about copyright. I'm an author and I'm also a lawyer. Before I decided to specialise in criminal law, I worked in the media department of a law firm, and I also worked for the BBC, where my role included checking that we weren't in breach of copyright when we sold programmes to third parties. Firstly, copyright is not the same thing as trademark. A trademark protects your brand, and it's a recognisable sign, design or expression. So for example, the golden arches of McDonald's, the Nike swoosh sign, what else have we got? Google, Microsoft, Rolex. These are examples of trademarks, and you can't use them without permission. Copyright is an intellectual property right which protects all original creative works. So this includes literary, dramatic, musical or artistic works, sound recordings, films, and the typographical arrangements of published editions. From the moment your words are written down on paper or saved to a digital file, your work becomes protected under the Copyright Designs and Patents Act 1988 in the United Kingdom and the Copyright Act of 1976 in the United States. And obviously each country is going to have their own unique copyright laws. The copyright in your work belongs to you, which means that you're the only person who can sell it, license it, or even leave it to someone in your will. And obviously if you co-author a piece of work, then you jointly hold the copyright. In the United Kingdom, you don't have to formally register your work or apply to any government agency for copyright protection. There are companies out there who say that they will register your copyright, provide copyright protection for a fee. You don't have to do this. You do not have to hand over any money in order to register your copyright or protect your copyright in the United Kingdom. However, in the US, you can register your work with the US Copyright Office. Copyright expires 70 years after the creator of the work dies. So in other words, you will hold on to the copyright of your work for your entire life, and then for another 70 years after you kick the bucket. So remember, copyright lasts for your entire life and then 70 years after you die. The simple answer is no. You cannot copyright an idea or a concept. Or as someone more eloquently said on social media, you can't copyright the sun. This was said after one author suggested that another author had stolen her idea about a character obtaining their powers from the sun. Didn't steal her novel. The allegation was that they stole the idea. You cannot copyright the sun. You cannot copyright an idea. Copyright doesn't exist until it's fixed in a tangible form. So for example, a novel. When I had the idea of a black female detective who suffers from PTSD, who leads a police unit and who then pursues a serial killer and a copycat, that was just an idea. I couldn't copyright that. But the minute I transferred my idea and I created a novel, an original piece of work, and it was recorded in writing on paper or in digital form, that novel was The Jigsaw Man, that is then protected by copyright. Technically, you can quote song lyrics or extracts from other books in your own work, but you need to have permission from the copyright holder, and you'll probably have to pay a fee. So for example, back in 2010, it would have cost you £535 plus VAT, which is a total of £615.25 to use one single line from Wonderwall by Oasis in your work. So unless you've got permission from Taylor Swift, Oasis, or even me, if you wanted to use a line from one of my novels, you would be in breach of copyright. However, there are exceptions. The first exception is fair dealing. You can use or make reference to someone else's protected works if you're using it for non-commercial research, private study, illustration for teaching, criticism or review, or news reporting. The second exception is public domain. If a work is in the public domain because copyright has expired, then you can use it. So for example, the copyright in Pride and Prejudice has expired because Charlotte Bronte died way back in 1855. And I think more recently, the copyright in the original version of Mickey Mouse, so the original design illustration of Mickey Mouse, not the ones used now, the original one, that expired recently, so you can now use that. So what happens if someone uses your copyrighted protected work without permission? The copyright owner may politely ask you to stop and to remove their work from your work, or they may get a lawyer involved. If they get a lawyer involved, the lawyer may send you an official letter asking you to cease and desist. And if that doesn't work, well, you're going to be sued. That's the long and short of it. Someone's going to court. Recently, a Lord of the Rings fan fiction writer was sued by the estate of J.R.R. Tolkien for publishing his own sequel to Lord of the Rings. He lost. The judge imposed a permanent injunction on the writer, and he now has to pay the Tolkien's estate lawyers $134,000 or 104,000 quid. It's not worth it. So a quick recap. Copyright belongs to you from the minute you create an original work and it's written on paper or saved on a digital file. You cannot copyright an idea or a concept. In the UK, you don't have to formally register copyright in order to have copyright protection. Copyright expires 70 years after you die. You can't use anyone else's copyrighted work unless you have express permission. Send me a message or leave a comment if you have any writing and publishing questions that you would like me to answer in the Writers Clinic, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share.